Hello, I'm Annette Young and welcome to the 51%, a show about women reshaping our world. Coming up, the push to increase job sharing here in Europe in order to reach equality in the workplace. Also, we talk to one woman whose UK employment agency does just that, matching high-ranking jobs with people wanting greater flexibility. And kicking ass, how more and more women in the States are signing up for mixed martial arts. But we begin here in Europe, where job sharing is slowly becoming more popular with companies. Many argue that it can actually be more efficient, as well as providing greater flexibility to employees. This while others say the only way to having a truly equal workplace is to offer the option to both men and women. Charles Pellegrin reports on how in Germany some 15% of firms are now embracing flexible work practices.
When she gets into work, this project manager in the educational sector always finds someone sitting at her desk. But that doesn't mean she's been fired.
Hello. Hi.
This is called job sharing.
We should go over this together.
They meet only once a week to go over what's been done and what needs to be done, and this is how it works. It starts off with two employees who agree to fill the same position. They both work 26 hours a week for a total of 52 hours, which is more than a full-time work week. The system requires a lot of organization. Teamwork is key, and so is trust.
You have to learn the rules at first, but it went quickly for us.
You have to trust the other person's decisions. You have to make concessions.
Every decision is taken together, and as for their colleagues, they can always count on one member of the duo being available.
We never wonder who we should ask the question to. And even if they're not at the office, you can always reach them by email. You get answers really quickly.
They also never ask for days off at the same time, which the company and its director appreciate greatly. He ends up paying less tax than he would for two part-time positions, and projects are finished faster. Job sharing increases productivity 10 to 15%.
Their availability is amazing. They're both very involved, especially when it comes to projects that require a lot of flexibility.
This agency helps people look for job shares. It especially targets women in management positions who want to work fewer hours without their careers suffering. For instance, after maternity leave.
The problem is that when we want to work less, well, the position isn't available anymore. So we have to do something else and accept a pay cut. Job sharing, well, that prevents this.
The trend is gaining ground in Europe. In 2014, 15% of German companies offered the option of job sharing. And that's nothing compared to the United Kingdom, where that figure was 48%.
Now, as we just saw there, already a sizable number of companies in the UK are offering flexible work practices. Romanie Thomas is a former recruiter who saw women dropping off at the top level, mainly for family reasons. As a result, they had few options to find flexible part-time senior roles as they raised their families. So she founded Juggle Jobs, an online marketplace that matches businesses with mid to senior level professionals on a flexible basis. And she joins me today from London. Romanie, thanks so much for being with us. What drove you to create Juggle Jobs?
It was a personal frustration, really. I was having ongoing requests from clients to increase the number of women that we were presenting at a shortlist level for senior level appointments. And my area of focus was technology, so that was always going to be difficult. And I had consistently accepted that fact. And then one day I started challenging clients and saying, well, rightly or wrongly, women are taking the lion's share of the responsibility for childcare. And so even at a senior level, they really do need a degree of flexibility. And are you willing to extend that? And in which case we might be able to find you some. And what was really refreshing is lots of the businesses were coming back and saying, actually, we certainly are interested in changing our working practices and environment. This is what's happening already in our businesses, and can you help us and give us some proper insight?
So is your agency just for women?
No, it's not, although you can see from the website and the way that I'm speaking, it's certainly geared towards women, but that's simply because over 90% of flexible work requests come from women, so that's where the business is. And actually, I think women can be a driving force in changing work practices. You know, it's estimated that 70% of professionals are going to be working flexibly by 2020, and women can be the driving force there. But I think the issue is much broader than that.
In what way?
I think all of us are starting to work differently. The fact that we often don't switch off in the evenings means that surely we need greater flexibility to take on personal appointments and so on during the day. And often flexibility just means freedom. I think typically employers have been reluctant to embrace flexible working because they think it means part-time, less productivity, and you can see why that's not very competitive for a business landscape. But actually, when we've looked at this business, it really just means increased freedom, and the productivity per employee is much greater when they have greater freedom.
Now, you're targeting the high-end job market with a very conservative corporate culture. What's been the reaction from employers?
It has been good, actually, and I think timing is everything here. An example would be I was speaking to a partner at a leading London law firm, very conservative business, everything that you just mentioned, and they had recently lost a pitch to an American investment bank. And this partner had known the client for, over 20 years, so it was a real surprise. And when he picked up the phone to the client to inquire why they had lost the business, he said, "You didn't bring any women into the team that you were going to work on the assignment." And the partner sort of pushed back and said, "Well, I know that you call me at 2 a.m. in the morning, so I was considerate about who I put on the team, and it had to be people who didn't have families, male and female, by the way." And the client pushed back and said, "Well, actually, the firm who won the business, they're in the same boat, and we had the same cultural challenges as well, but they raised that and addressed it, and we're working together to make the working practice better for both parties. And we need our suppliers to be able to do that from now on." So commercially, it was starting to hit that law firm, and they realised they need to do something about it, which is really encouraging.
But Romanie, how do you actually do that, given that so many businesses, especially with online technology, are expected to be contactable at all hours? How do you introduce sort of flexible work practices that are also family friendly?
I think that is an ongoing challenge, and whilst flexible workers are in the minority, they're always going to feel the negative effects at the moment. So I think the immediate challenge is to get more senior people working in a flexible way and embracing the idea that flexibility is about freedom. And I think we'll drive the numbers up pretty quickly if that is the case.
So which sectors are more open to flexible work practices?
Some that you might not expect, actually. Our focus is looking at professional services, so law firms, accounting firms and management consultancy, which have typically been quite behind because of the client nature of those businesses. But they've realised that they're really lacking women at a top level, and they're connecting the dots that increasing women, you need to increase flexibility. There are some businesses that are really lagging behind. I would say technology is a sector as a whole, which my business is a part of, really has a lack of women, and they're doing a lot to address it, but probably not enough at the moment.
Romanie Thomas, I'm afraid we've run out of time. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Now, it's been regarded as such a violent sport that it's even banned here in France. Mixed martial arts is a form of combat sport where almost anything goes. It includes moves from judo, boxing, karate and other martial arts. But in the United States, a growing number of women are taking up the sport both professionally and at an amateur level.
Women's mixed martial arts is fighting fit and raring to go. Increasingly large crowds are drawn to these fights in the United States, a sport on the rise.
I don't see it as just a man's sport. Martial arts, is for everyone. MMA, no matter what style you take.
I love the dedication and commitment these ladies have to the sport and getting in the cage and doing what they do.
MMA is deemed so violent that it's banned in several countries, including France. In the US, the Ultimate Fighting Championship began in 1993, but it took 9 years for the creation of a women's division. America now counts several hundred professional female fighters.
I just see myself as a normal person, so having people come up and want to have photos and stuff like that, it's kind of cool. Like, I'm still not used to it yet, but I love how the fans get behind us girls.
A win here will amount to around $10,000, a far cry from what the sport's poster child Ronda Rousey earns. The global MMA star makes several million, fighting just twice or 3 times a year.
She has unquestionably brought an influx of young girls and women into mixed martial arts. She really has spoken to women of all ages, and she's talked a lot about empowerment issues and feminism and her ideas on those things.
The rise in popularity of the sport is spilling over into gyms across the US.
It's been a phenomenal change in how many women we've seen involved and progress wanting to learn the technique as much as using the conditioning, because it's a lot of fun and it's a lot more fun than just being on a treadmill. And now we get to learn some valuable skills as well.
Here in California, the number of women joining classes has increased threefold in the past 2 years. This training center will soon start a women's-only course to meet the growing demand.
And that's it for now. And if you'd like to comment on what you've just seen, you can head to our Facebook page. That's France24 51%, or do send us a tweet at _51%. Thanks for your feedback so far, and please do keep those comments coming in. So until our next show, bye for now.